Hi, John Graham, HoustonISO9000.com. We're going through ISO 9001 2015 version, and we're now going to talk about Section 853, correctly called Clause 853, Customer and Vendor Property. Well, in the old standard, 2008, it was just customer supplied property. Now the standard is expanded it out to vendor property also. So for a second, what would be customer property? Let's look at a few examples. Raw material. Some customers say, take this raw material and incorporate it into our product. Could be intellectual property. They give you drawings or databases that you're going to need to put into their design. That there could be issues with that. So the standard says, and we'll look at that in a second. There could be containers. Fill this container with the chemical you made for me. Fill up our tank truck with that. There could be issues with that tank truck. Many times you open a tank truck and it has what's called a heel in it, or it's not necessarily something dirty, but it's an old product from yesterday or something, and it will contaminate the new product if it's something different. Okay, supplier-owned or vendor-owned property. And the standard actually uses the word or phrase external provider now, but we know those to be vendors or suppliers. Many people rent forklifts. Sometimes we rent weld inspection equipment to do maybe eddy current or x-ray, and they don't belong to you, they belong to a vendor in that case. Leased lab equipment, leased truck fleet. But what the standard says, for those things that belong to customers or vendors, now, if you buy something from a vendor, they make it for you and you buy it, that's no longer owned by the vendor. That's owned by you. You bought it from them. They're talking about something that still belongs to the vendor or a customer. They actually own it. So, number one, you'll take tender, loving care of it. Make sure you take care of the integrity of the identification and status of it. But more importantly, if it is lost, damaged, or unsuitable for use for any reason. For example, you open that tank car and it's got a heel in it that could contaminate the new chemicals. That is unsuitable for use. Or if it's damaged, or you have something they send back and maybe a customer buys it from you and sends it back to be repaired. It may have your company's name on it, but the customer now owns that. It is their property on their books. They send it back to you to be repaired, and it's just too far gone. And you say, no, we can't repair that. So any kind of situation like that, the standard says if it's lost, damaged, or unsuitable for use, you'll report it to the customer or the vendor and keep a record of that. That's a hard record requirement. So think for a second, go back to document control, where if you created a master records list, this is one of the records that needs to be on that list. So anything lost, damaged, or unsuitable for use, you report it to the customer or vendor, keep a record.